Top 10 reasons why you should visit Kenya. When you think of amazing vacation destinations, Africa is probably not on that list. And Kenya? That's a place you go to volunteer, not vacation. Well, that is wrong, because I've traveled to Kenya 4 different times, rented a car and drove all across the country and discovered that Kenya is a beautiful, amazing place that you need to visit. And here are 10 reasons why. Number 10, national parks. As far as I'm aware, Kenya is the only place where you can, within an hour of arriving to the country, be at a national park in a safari. See, the capital, Nairobi, has a national park in it. And so that's what I did. I rented a car and I got to a national park and saw elephants, lions, and tons of wildlife in less than an hour of arriving to the country. In case you've never gone on a safari, most are not anywhere near an airport. They can take days to get to, and yet in Kenya, you can do it within an hour. And if you want other safaris, Kenya has a ton of safaris and national parks. And if you time it right, you can go to the south and see the Great Migration, one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Number 9, kids are happy. See, as I traveled the world and went to many really rich countries, I often saw kids playing on cell phones and basically staying inside all day. But in Kenya, they're outside playing, they're teasing each other, chasing each other, laughing, having a wonderful time. So it made me realize you don't need money for kids to be happy. Number 8, Kenyans are friendly. Maybe a little bit too friendly. Let me give you some examples. Anytime I got a flat tire, which I got 4, Kenyans were out helping me. Most times I wasn't even allowed to change the tire myself because they refused to let a foreigner do it. They wanted to help me out and never wanted any money for it. Also, one time when I was in Nairobi at nighttime, I accidentally went the wrong way on the street, on a one-way, and cars started coming towards me. And instead of being mad or rude or anything, every single car stopped and told me as I was on the side of the road waiting for them. They actually were backing up traffic, and they eventually stopped and let me turn around. And there were a bunch of cars and nobody honked. Everyone was super polite. And so again, I just couldn't believe how nice and friendly people were in Kenya. Number 7, it will change the way you travel, because that's what it did for me. One of my trips around Kenya, I was with my mother and my sister, and my mom is a teacher, so she wanted to see a school. So I decided to just stop at a random school, and my mom actually went out and said hi to the school and the teachers and the kids, and had a wonderful time. Ended up taking me and showing me all the students, and it was so fun getting to see these students and knowing that this was true. We weren't an influencer politician. We were seeing authentic Africa with no influence. And so it taught me when I traveled in the future to do these things. Go out and meet people and experience the culture. Don't just go to the sites, but experience the people, because that's what makes traveling amazing. Number 6, conservatories. Kenya has a lot of them, and it's amazing to see Kenyans all helping out the local wildlife, like elephants, giraffes, and more. Number 5, where the first humans arose. East Africa is where the first humans first became humans. And over the thousands of years, the landscape probably hasn't changed that much. And so it's incredible to be walking in the same footsteps and same places that the first humans were walking. Number 4, beaches. You probably don't realize that Kenya has some of the prettiest beaches in the entire world. Number 3, culture. Kenya has so many different ethnic groups, and as I rented a car and drove around the entire country, I met and was able to interact with so many. One of the cool things was when I drove to the northeast and saw Somalis' ethnicity that were actually Kenyan citizens because they were living in Kenya. And one of the things that the media often shows is Kenyans and Somalis not getting along. But here were Somalis living in Kenya. And so it was beautiful to see that Kenya is actually many different ethnicities all together to blend to be one country, Kenya. Number 2, one problem isn't all of Africa. What I mean by this is before I went with my sister and mom to Kenya, there had been a terrible attack, and so my sister's school had canceled all their trips to Kenya. But upon arriving, I realized that this was one isolated event that happened in a country of over 50 million people. And so I realized we don't treat Africa fair. If one event happens in Africa, it gets blasted on all the news and we no longer even want to go there. Yet in America, the same thing happens every single day and people don't stop coming to America. Number 1, visiting Kenya will open your eyes. See, when I was a kid, I was taught to feel sorry for Africa, that everybody in Africa was miserable. But when I visited Kenya, I saw a completely different world. Kenya had restaurants, had bars, had shops, had hotels, had markets, had people laughing. People were enjoying life in Kenya. One of the Kenyans I met stayed in a really fancy apartment, way better than the apartment I had in Singapore. And I also wanted to see the other side. And so I made a friend who let me see the slums. That's literally what he called it. And when I saw where he lived, I was actually really surprised. He had a bed, he had a couch, he had a radio and a nice table and some furniture. Now, it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't miserable. And again, it made me realize that not every Kenyan is struggling. There are many Kenyans that are very happy and loving life. So that's why you need to visit Kenya. Not only will it open your eyes, you'll also see amazing sights and be able to go on amazing safaris. And best of all, get to meet such amazing people. So that's why you need to book your next trip to Kenya.